in nation building maternity paternity bill presented to Parliament.
Let me take you to the final. The big story says victims exceed 6,000. And we're talking about the flooding of Lower Volta areas. NADMO and VRA is hosting some of the people. Dr. Akoto calls for homegrown economic policies. Ghana, South Africa approve visa-free travels. Charlie, I'm going to South Africa to chill small. And then Citi FM and Citi TV, GJA Primpag, Information Ministry condemn NDC supporters' assault on Miss Akosia Orchary.
The
horrible story.
Yes, the front page of the Herald newspaper. They are focused on the Railway Ministry. It says Railway Authority boss gets 5-year post-retirement contract as Jubilee House renders Amewu's ministry and board useless. Lawyers fume at new trial judge on Opuni case accused of introducing alien practices. Men's Water Bill can't be spared over Capital Bank's 90 million Ghana cedi theft. Martin Kwebu.
The Ghanaian Times says Akosombo Dam spillage. Government rules out rescue restoration plan to save lives, property in communities along Lower Volta Basin. Armed Forces rescues 1,800 victims. Everything in that headline. Also, this morning we're told MOI, which is the Minister of Information, GJA, condemn attack on Citi FM, Citi TV reporter. Also support South Africa's fight against terrorism and violent extremism. That's our president talking to world leaders. And 10 arrested, Bernard, for flouting bush meat hunting ban.
Some were even caught with the meat in their plate. Some were even putting it in their mouth. And they say, hey, you've been caught. Very funny story.
Front page of the Daily Guide newspaper. I betrayed MPP for Mahama. That's Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo being quoted here. Alan Chematin versus Volta flood victims. And Tema Children's Park cannot be used for casino. It's according to the TDC.
Yes.
So we'll keep an eye on whether it can or cannot be used for a casino.
And let me take you finally to the new publisher, Signal Nu Aye Strong. Or Signal Nu Ye Strong. One of them. Yes. Ken and Alan's men return or ran to Baumia. Also, government to the rescue of dam spillage victims. And then Ioko declares university lecturer wanted over his fake degrees.
The front page of the Daily Analyst, students dismissed over poor academic performance can reapply. University of Ghana clarifies. GJ wants politicians party sacks ahead of 2024 elections. And on the attack on Citi FM journalists, GJA calls on police to arrest NDC sacks.
And let me actually do my final paper for this morning. Chronicle says this morning, Alan Cash takes over JJ's mantle in Volta region. Also, woes of Ghanaian journalists after NPP infamous UTV invasion. NDC also pounds on journalists for no justifiable cause. And then there's something here about Dr. Akoto Efriye.
And also on the front page of the BNFT, finally from me, Bernard, enhanced framework for monitoring remittances. According to a study in agri-genetic science, is the future of food security. This is coming from Olam Agric Brands manager. And Africa Data Centers to propel digital transformation with $50 million DFC partnership. And the Ghana Airport Company Limited has been adjudged the most profitable state-owned enterprise.
Let's move online. Akosombo Dam spillage, health officials warn of possible outbreak of waterborne diseases. This is citynewsroom.com. Meanwhile, UTAG said they have engineers to help government prevent flooding caused by dam spillage. That's UTAG Legon. Meanwhile, the president will visit the affected areas today. And then VRA is saying don't leave anybody behind. Then there's a joint press statement on the press statement on the assault on Akosia Orchary, also trending with statements from Primbak, from NDC, from Information Ministry, and also from the GJA. There's an interesting story here. Zambia is advising Ghana have restrictive laws on debt accumulation.
As in money.
Yes, we shouldn't take too much. We have a law that will restrict how much debt we can accumulate. There's another one here that will interest you. Bahamas is recruiting nurses from Ghana to address their shortage.
Okay. Where we say we won't use them.
And then a couple stories. IMF, Ghana has fulfilled obligations, awaiting credit action on debt restructuring. So those are the big stories online. So let's get into the
details.
Yes, I think the Akosombo Dam spillage. I want to start from the Citi story,
okay,
where the Volta Regional Health Directorate is raising concern about the possible outbreak of waterborne disease following the flooding incident that occurred in some districts in the Volta region. This comes after several latrines and open places of convenience were inundated with flood water following the spillage of the Akosombo Dam. In an interview, the Volta Regional Environmental Health Officer Stella Kumejro spoke on the issue and appealed to the authorities to provide safe drinking water to affected communities. Now, here's a quote. Most of the people I saw still use that surface water for cooking, bathing, and other household chores. Oof. So the implication for public health are that it will trigger water-related diseases, skin rashes, diarrhea, typhoid, and so on. And this is a very terrible situation at hand. I want to appeal to all well-meaning Ghanaians, our development partners, to come to the aid of residents of Mefe in particular. Now, the North Town District Health Director, Michael Kofi Ziga, also said the flooding incident is affecting healthcare delivery in the district. Currently, a lot of communities have been displaced in the district. Once communities are displaced, they will not have any access to regular facilities they used to have access to. They will not have access to potable water, sanitary facilities, and routine health services, because it is more or less like a camp out. Yeah. And this is affecting service delivery and the health of the people. So that's basically the summation of the health angle to the story.
Yeah, but if you go to the finder, we're told that 6,000 victims have so far been identified as having been affected by the flooding. And the story by Elvis Dako says that the team from the Ghana Armed Forces, headed by the Chief of Naval Staff, Rear Admiral Issa Yakubu, yesterday took an aerial tour of places affected by the Volta Dam spillage. He goes on to provide you with details of the areas that they visited. Now, we're told that a total of 9 districts have been affected in the Usujaman district in the eastern region, and in the north, central and south Tong districts in the Volta region. And then he goes on to provide some other details of places that have been affected. But if you go deep into the story, we're told that the VRA has been giving some explanations. VRA explained that it is focusing on safeguarding life and property, as well as supporting the residents in communities affected by the spillage. Now, Mr. Ken Arthur, Deputy Chief Executive responsible for services at the VRA, said the authority was concentrating on bringing relief items and making sure that those displaced are at least comfortable.
There are 2 more stories here, just to put all together. The UTAG Legon say they have engineers to help government prevent flooding by the dam spillage. University Chairs Association of Ghana Legon branch say they are poised to collaborate with the government to find lasting solutions to the issue of flooding caused by spillage of the Akosombo Dam. The association noted that the University Engineering Department, together with the appropriate bodies, can devise measures to spill the water without the havoc which happens. Then there's a very interesting story on Adom Online, which I don't want to believe is true. Akosombo Dam spillage, Ghana Meteo misled us, and they are attributing this to VRA.
Well, I mean, all of those things would have to be part of a comprehensive investigation that would have to be done.
Let me read the story. The VRA has blamed the Ghana Meteo Agency Service for the devastating the spillage of the Akosombo Dam has caused. According to the VRA, the Ghana Meteo misled them with its prediction of rainfall and drought pattern for the year. The VRA Public Relations Officer, I'm just reading what I see.
I see. They don't have independent, weather monitoring team at the VRA. I mean, they cannot pass
let me read what the guy said. According to, now they are quoting some of Fletcher. Discloses on our Dome TV's something Nyantuyi or something. Now here's a quote. The forecast was that we may not get water this year. So we had to protect ourselves so we could produce electricity. But around July, we realized the situation was different. And that is the work of God that no man can stop.
What?
The excess water is not a result of rains in Accra or Koforidua that come into the dam, but it is from the above 6 areas, including Mali, the North, Burkina Faso, and once there's excess water, we need to spill, he said. However, the PR of the Ghana Metro Agency, Joshua Asamoah, also on the same program, disputed the claims. He explained that they work closely with VRA, NADMO, and the geological services, and all these stakeholders provided adequate updates on the seasonal forecasting. So, the claim of Mr. Fletcher, he indicated, was one which is hard for him to accept, stating that he doesn't know where he got that information from. So it's a back and forth between the two. Meanwhile, the president is going there today.
The president is visiting with a strong team. We'll be assessing some of the impact and also announcing some relief measures. But the people in Mepe and other places need help. According to the story as well, tracts of land, including farms and communities downstream, the Akosombo and Kpong dams have been flooded. In the South Tong district capital, Sogakope, for instance, Komboni Center, which houses the Komboni Hospital, Mortuary, Technical Vocational Institute, basic schools, and the in vitro lab have all been closed down. More than 893 basic school children in the district are now loitering after 5 basic schools were shut in the area over mounting health and safety concerns in
Don't
the
forget,
wake of
this
the
has
floods.
affected 10 districts. Shai Osu Doku is involved, the 3 town constituencies, and then there are constituencies even in the eastern region, so Jaman, all of them affected. So communities like, Asutrare, Volivo, Adakofe, Jokpo, all have been affected. We'll come back with that. Let's go to the next story, Sky.
Let me take you to this heartbreaking story, very infuriating story about an attack on one of our colleagues here at 97.3 Citi FM. The Finder has that story. Citi FM and Citi TV, GJA, Prim Park Information Ministry condemn NDC supporters' assault on Miss Akosia Orchary. The story says the management of Citi FM and Citi TV has condemned the severe assault of Miss Akosia Orchary, one of the reporters who was diligently performing her professional duties on Friday. Now, the assault resulted in Miss Orchary suffering physical harm and the forcible seizure of her mobile phone. Now, the assault took place at the National Democratic Congress's Greater Accra Regional Office in Southla during the vetting process of parliamentary candidate aspirants for the NDC in the Ododo constituency on Friday, October 13, 2023. Now, subsequently, Miss Orchard received the necessary medical attention and is recovering.
So let me just mention that. So the GJ has issued a statement, the Prim Park has issued a statement, the Information Ministry has issued a statement, the NDC, National and Regional have all issued a statement condemning the action. So there's a lot of things happening there. And we have filed a petition at the police, made a formal complaint to the police for them to investigate the matter. We provided them evidence as well. So that's the latest on that story. Let's go.
Well, let me take you to the. I'll stay with the Daily Graphic. Very interesting story on page 13 of a private member's bill proposing an amendment to extend maternity leave from 3 months to 4 months has been introduced. The bill, which is seeking to amend the Labour Act 2003 Act 651, is also proposing an option for an additional 2 weeks of maternity leave in the case of a cesarean section or multiple births. Also, the law is aimed at allowing new mothers adequate time to give birth, exclusively breastfeed, care for and bond with their new baby. Now, the essence of paternity leave is to enable men to take care of their wives and assist the new mothers with domestic chores. So, Francis Xavier Susu, at it again.
Well, on health, Bahamas is recruiting nurses from Ghana to address their shortage. The Health and Wellness Minister for Bahamas, Dr. Michael Daville, has revealed that 18 specialty nurses from Ghana are scheduled to arrive in the Bahamas by the end of October to help relieve a shortage of nurses. I would like to see them in the country before the end of the month. I believe we'll be able to accomplish that so that they can fill a lot of gaps, specialty nurses that exist in the Princess Margaret Hospital and some of the Rand Memorial Hospital. So this story has been curled from, I think, a Bahamian news source, and they were quoting Dr. Daville, which I think is part of a discussion we've been having on this program.
Let me give you 2 quick stories that we've been following. On page 6 of the Daily Guide, the Tema Development Company Limited has stated categorically that the Community 5 Children's Park allocated to Tema Metropolitan Assembly for the purpose of recreational activities cannot be used for any other purpose except for recreational activities. I quote, the 6-acre park was officially released to Tema Metropolitan Assembly in the year 2013 based on a formal request from the Assembly to construct an ultra-modern recreational center. And this usage has been stated clearly in the right of entry documents to the Assembly. So we'll be keeping an eye on this. If you go to the Herald on page 3, the Herald has picked up disturbing reports regarding the government's handling of the Ghana Railway Development Authority. The authority has fallen prey to certain elements inside the presidency, according to the newspaper's reports, including keeping a retired CEO, Enestia Owusu, in office on a post-retirement contract running into 5 years. There is currently confusion between the Ministry of Railway Development and Jubilee House as to who has absolute control over the authority, including the actions of the HCO, who is reported to have authorized the payment of 100 million euros to a contractor, Amandi Holding Limited, without the approval of the board led by Dr. Martin Amogre Anyanore.
And while we're at it, we're waiting for the finishing of the Akosombo to Mpakadan line. It's still not ready, even though the work is still ongoing.
Okay, just to plug into this issue of possible wrongdoing somewhere in our state institutions, there's a story that is on the new publisher front page. Details on page 2 of the paper that Yoko declares university lecturer wanted over his fake degrees.
Wow.
Now, the woes of Dr. Michael Edusei Boedu, a dismissed senior assistant registrar from the CK Tedam University of Technology and Applied Sciences in Navrungo, are far from over. After being dismissed by the university in May this year for the possession of fake degrees, Mr. Michael Edusei Boedu, formerly known as by the institution as Dr. Michael Edusei Boedu, has been ordered to refund the monies paid to him as salary and allowances for 1 year he worked at the university. And we're told that the amount in question is 231,182 Ghana cedis, 64 pesewas. So he's being pursued to refund that money and for possible prosecution. But Bernard, let me take you to another story, which is on page 13. Says 10 arrested for flouting bushmeat hunting. The way I love
And they entered the chop bar to catch them.
my guy, unfortunately and legally they be brutal. Now, Anita Nyako reporting says that 10 persons have been arrested by the police for flouting the temporal ban on hunting and trading in assorted bushmeat in parts of the central region. Now, the suspects are hunters and chop bar operators who were apprehended at Mankesim in Asimfosu. Now, meat of duiker, bush rats, and other wildlife species were confiscated by a joint team from the Wildfire Division of the Forestry Commission and Police Service, who were on a surveillance and monitoring mission to ensure traders in the sector comply with the suspension, which is the close season. So they closed the gates to the bushes of hunting for wildlife animals and organs.
But isn't it too late? If there's a ban and the meat has ended up on somebody's plate, you're arresting the meat on the plate.
Even this story,
remove the water in the forest.
this story is even calm. I saw another story online where they said they actually got to the chop bar and people were eating the meat and they arrested
they
the
the
meat
meat.
from their mouth.
When the people
Yeah, they said they shouldn't be eating that meat, so they collected the meat and took it away.
so meat that I bought
Yes.
by
That's a
my
ban.
bona fide.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, you're
You are
bona
buying
fide.
contraband goods.
You are buying
Let me give
contraband
you two economic stories. Ghana secures assurances from China
You sound very worried by the whole matter.
and France. Guys, listen to this. Assurances from China and France for external debt restructuring. An important story. Finance
They've
Minister
given us
Kenneth Oryata
assurances.
has disclosed that Ghana has secured assurances from both China and France regarding the MOU for the restructuring of the country's external bilateral debts. We have met the central bank governor of China, and we don't perceive any opposition or reluctance in participation positively when it comes to the MOU on restructuring of our external bilateral debts, the minister said. Responding to inquiries from journalists at the annual International Monetary Fund World Bank meeting in Marrakesh, Mr. Oryata said the Chinese government within the past month is close to reaching a similar deal with Zambia, Sri Lanka, and Suriname. So following that trend, we expect some similar cooperation when it comes to Ghana. So that's story one. Then story number two, in that same vein, Zambia wants to advise Ghana. Meanwhile, they themselves, they are on an IMF program. But Zambia says Ghana should have restrictive laws on debt accumulation. Mr. Situmbeko Musokotwane, Minister of Finance and National Planning Zambia, has advised Ghana to have restrictive laws on debt accumulation. We have put a law in parliament which tied my hands to say, going forward, you can't be like those in the past. So we tied our hands to parliament to have more power and restrictions on borrowing, he said. That should be combined with reforms to maintain credibility with creditors, the international community and citizens, as well as create a conducive environment for private sector investment. Now, this man said this as he shared the experience of Zambian authorities who on Saturday formalized an MOU with his official creditors on restructuring some $6.3 billion of debt.
Let me take you to the US, where they also have chaos in the House, because conservative firebrand, and this on page 9 of the Daily Graphic, conservative firebrand Jim Jordan has been chosen as Republican nominee to become Speaker of the House, but is facing a mounting opposition from the ranks of his own party. And the House has now gone 10 days without a Speaker. Now, while Mr. Jordan emerged victorious from last Friday's secret ballot against Georgia lawmaker Austin Scott, he quickly failed to consolidate support in the wider region. Now, we're also losing hope in Sudan as the war enters its 6th month there. And finally, from my end,
So
Egypt,
Sudan has been fighting for 6
6
months.
months, yes. Egypt said on Sunday has stepped up diplomatic efforts to get humanitarian aid into Gaza, and this president told visiting U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken that Israel's bombardment of the territory was disproportional.
Yes.
And
yes, I agree with that.
those are some of the headlines from the news